Hey folks, how you doing? Russ Scala here. I got another video and I got some great content I want to share. We're getting a lot of requests for anti-aging programs from physicians in our town and from people that really want to drill down on what could extend the aging process. And like I said, I have a long history through this, and I want to try to walk you through my history and what I've seen, what I observed over the years, over 40 years of medicine, and some of the advanced anti-aging centers that I've been involved in. And I even talk about how I was a caregiver and I had to take care of my mother and father. My mother had dementia and my father had diabetes, and being a caregiver, even with my skill set, it was very stressful. So we know that we've got thousands and thousands of people every day turning 55, 60 years old. That market is going to be huge for this information. One of the things I realized back when I was a kid as a paramedic was, when I was a paramedic in the same town that I grew up in, I used to see people on a regular basis. And I would respond into their homes. A lot of times it wasn't an emergency. A lot of times older folks just wanted somebody to talk to, or we had to take somebody off the toilet or move them out of bed. And that kind of always stayed with me. And when I watched people that I knew go into nursing homes, and I would go in and talk to them because I would transport patients into nursing homes, I saw what happened once they got away from family members and how their health deteriorated. And that kind of always stayed with me. And I was always thinking about, what could I do? What can I do to save lives? Another epiphany that I had was, I got an award one time for bringing back 3 cardiac arrests in I think in a week. I would shock people, start their heart, give them calcium chloride, and they would actually come back to life. And when I was really thinking about that, these people were diabetics, they were obese. I did start their heart, but then I started thinking, and when I saw them after in town, they really didn't change any of their behaviors. So I did save their life with my team, but in order for me to change their behaviors, I got to catch them earlier to turn around their diet, to turn around, to get them the nutrition that they needed. A lot of the people that I was in the back of the ambulance with, the older people, said, I'm just tired of going to doctors. I don't want to go to 4 doctor's appointments a week. They got me on all these medication, and I don't feel bad. And I feel bad, and this is not a good quality of life for me. So as a kid, I'm thinking, okay, how do I develop programs for people that are going to help them resonate? Well, fast forward, as I said, I worked and helped set up age management centers like 25 years later, and I really got to see people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s, their bodies resonating on the proper diet, on the proper hormonal replacement therapy, on the proper nutrition. And what that taught me was, when I partnered with the best research labs in the country, this is what I learned, folks. There's a difference between performance and longevity. Like, I was a triathlete for 20 years thinking I was going to protect my heart from heart attacks. No, I damaged my heart. Who knew? The same thing with the bodybuilders. And that's why I took a deep dive into studying triathletes as the outliers and bodybuilders. As you can see here, the triathletes had to eat 6 to 7 meals a day. Same thing with the bodybuilders. They're in a constant state of stress. The reason I studied these outliers was because I wanted to help the guy in the walker, the man or the woman in the walker from the old days. Like, how do I maintain muscle mass and prevent sarcopenia or muscle wasting in the elderly? Well, you study these 2 groups of people. You study the triathlete who's always breaking muscle down, and the bodybuilder who's always building muscle. Actually, the triathlete and the bodybuilder are accelerating the aging process. That's why we know that intermittent fasting, hormonal replacement therapy, and nutrition, and correcting your microbiome, that's ground zero for a really, really good, long, productive life. It's not about pushing your body to the max. Now, I don't have any problem. I work with people in their 40s and 50s that want to do their first marathon, but we make sure they do it a safe way. We want to, if people want to ride their bike 100 miles, they got to slowly work up to that. I know people have goals and they want to keep moving their life forward. Type A personalities, I work with them all the time, but we don't want to cause any damage. Because your body at 20 and 30, when your hormone levels are elevated, is completely different than a body in their 60s and 70s. The exercise and the diet has to be completely different. So I think what we do differently to extend the aging process is that we microdose the hormonal levels. We customize the diet. You may need keto diet, you may need low carb, or you may need a pescatarian diet, or you may need to just do some intermittent fasting. Everybody's different. Everybody's biochemically unique, folks. So we gotta meet them where we are. So the longevity program that I developed doesn't just look at vitamins, doesn't just look at nutrition, doesn't just look at muscle, doesn't just look at muscle breakdown. I look at treating systems. And the reason I got this epiphany was Chapel Entertainment called myself and Tony Smothers, my marketing director, about developing a transplant program. And I studied all the research that goes into transplants on how we maintain organ functionality, maintain a new organ inside somebody. And there were I had a light bulb went on over my head. I said, well, if we maintain the organs in a transplant patient, how do we maintain the organs in a regular guy, 60, man or woman, 60 or 70, and keep that organ functionality humming along? And that's sort of how I developed this program. We don't just use testosterone in isolation. We don't just use estrogen. We look at treating systems. And I'll walk you through that in a minute. Let's see if I can keep your attention.
The new space race to Mars will do more for extending quality of life past 100 than the discovery of DNA. Think about it. Traditional medicine suffered the same fate as NASA. It did great things, then became bureaucratic and lost its innovation. Today, Elon Musk of SpaceX, Jeff Bezos of Blue Origin, and Richard Branson of Virgin Galactic have accelerated the space race again, attracting the people with the right stuff. New research and discovery will ready humanity to travel to and populate other planets. They can do this by extending aging while preventing organ system failure and maintaining muscle mass. The more muscle we have, the better our immune surveillance and ability to avoid muscle wasting. Space travel and better understanding metabolism in our older years is where research will break new ground. Today's research on aging is often being reduced to a stereotypical, fundamentally undesirable, and misunderstood condition. The collective dehumanization and devaluation of older adults is reflected in a healthcare system that medicalizes aging and dying. The system emphasizes standardized interventions and procedures without full consideration of their impact on older patients, while simultaneously deprioritizing social and wellness initiatives that could maximize the purpose, well-being, and dignity of older adults. You can take back control of your health now.
Okay, folks, what we gleaned from the transplant program was we want to keep the body's highway open, the 100,000 miles of veins and arteries that supply oxygen and nutrients to the organs. That is one of the best longevity programs, I think, to look at. Like I said, there's hundreds of people on the internet pushing testosterone and hormone replacement therapy. That's fine. But in reality, we want to maintain organ functionality. We want to maintain how our organs work, and everything is interconnected. Think about this. Endothelial dysfunction is the lining of the arteries when you're low in nutrition, low in hormonal levels. The lining of the arteries does not release nitric oxide to keep your arteries dilated. So what I studied from the transplant patients with a person that has a new kidney, we want to keep those arteries opened and avoid any type of endothelial dysfunction, all right? Another area that I looked at was a guy that has a stent placed in his coronary arteries, or he has a bypass with new arteries around his heart. That could also accelerate low nitric oxide function. Putting a stent in can actually lead to something called restenosis and more blockages. So the whole cardiovascular community is now looking at how's the best way to support the heart with vitamins, oxygen, amino acids. And if you think about the 100 miles of veins and arteries, folks, in our body, that's almost, our heart beats about 100,000 times a day. And if you think about, nobody really thinks about that because our heart and brain are highly metabolically active, but we don't think about that. So the heart beats about 100,000 times a day. And what is it doing? It's taking unoxygenated blood, it's going to the heart, being pumped to the lungs to get oxygenated, and then the heart pumps oxygenated blood to the rest of the body, pumps oxygenated blood and nutrients to every organ system. Now, wouldn't that be a good place to start? We want to work on kidney function, brain function. We want to work on our organ functionality by maintaining that highway of oxygen and nutrients to our most important vital organs in our body. And I think, as you know, I just showed you that chart of athletes. You know, the endurance athletes damage their adrenal glands. People that are long distance runners damage their knees. Certain parts of the body break down very quickly. But maintaining our organ functionality, folks, I think that's going to be the longevity program that's going to far exceed anything that we've seen on the market so far. We know that arterial stiffness happens as our arteries get older. We don't have the hormones in our bodies. In order to keep our arteries flexible, we need, the proper hormones, thyroid, essential fatty acids, omega-3s are great. Okay, we want to have proper nutrients and oxygen and a low amount of aerobic exercise to keep those arteries from getting stiff. This is another thing that happens as we age. We start losing our hormones at 30. Vitamins, minerals, amino acids, progesterone, testosterone. Okay, we want to think about adrenal function. It's actually the HPAG axis, the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal gonadal axis. This is the system that we want to treat. This is the system that we want to function on. Now, I have a number of low-T clinics here in Orlando that are just giving people 100, 200 milligrams of testosterone every 2 weeks. They're only treating testosterone in isolation. I want to present them with a longevity program that they may be able to offer their clients to really keep them in the game. Okay, folks, you know as well as I do, there's going to be people talking about taking individual supplements. You've got to go on the ketogenic diet. You got to do this. You got to do that. Listen, those of you that are looking into my eyes right now, you are biochemically unique. You're going to need a different diet. You're going to need a different dosing protocol. You're going to need different medication to help you maintain your cognitive function and keep you in the game. Okay, you're biochemically unique. Just like every patient has a different shoe size, your dosing protocols and your body and your system and the stress level that you've been under your whole life makes you a very unique patient. And that's where we come in. That's where we could build a therapeutic relationship with your doctor. And listen, folks, after what I've seen 40 years in medicine, a lot of people died in my arms. And there's people that die peacefully and people that die screaming. So that's always stayed with me. I don't want you to die screaming. You could really follow some basic protocols that my team developed and improve your quality of life, okay? If you like what I did, like what my team did, please share this information. See the Russ Scala YouTube channel and Scala Precision Health here in Winter Park, Florida. As always, folks, thanks for watching and sharing. Appreciate it.
The time is now for you to take control of your health. Everybody and every body has a story. Let us find out yours today.